Okay, so the next thing that we're going to cover is finding things. And this is actually one of the most common parts of any development workflow, or at least mine, but I think it's a fairly universal thing, is that you actually spend relatively little amount of your time when developing actually writing code or even editing things. You're actually just trying to find stuff and get around. We talked about navigation the last time. I arguably you could say that finding things is kind of like navigation, but I just separated it into two videos because it's just a little bit shorter that way. So I use a couple of plugins that I really love. The first of which is NerdTree, which I've got bound to leader N because N stands for NerdTree, but it is a file directory viewer. It's just like any modern directory viewer that you might think of, that you might be used to, but also for this little series, we're going to be using a project of mine called Shifty. It's an open source animation library for JavaScript, but it's got some files. It's fairly straightforward, so it's a good example case. So it's got the Vim style key bindings to get around. It can be a little bit slower for large directories like this, but you can easily just pop into a file like this, and you can just toggle it again. I've got it bound to leader N. In any case, so that's NerdTree. It lets you get a visual view of your file system, which is nice. But sometimes, you sort of have a sense of what your project directory looks like, and you sort of just want to type in and go right to it. You don't want to have to like navigate because that could be a lot of keystrokes. So I use a command line tool that's integrated with Vim called FZF. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled FZF, so I'm calling it FCF. So I've got it bound to Command P, and there you can see we have a split here, and it just lists all the files, and I can actually just sort of kind of type the thing that I want. So if I want to find all the index files, I just type INDE, and here's everything that has INDE in it. Here's my test index.js. And you can just easily get around to whatever you want. You kind of build up this second sense of the things that you're trying to find. So just again, I've got it bound to leader P because I used to use control P, which does something similar, but this is better. And you can just sort of like go up and down and find the thing that you need, and it's super handy. So that's FCF. I love it. It's also a standalone tool. It's got a million other uses that I might explain in another video, but for now, here it is in Vim. So let's say that we want to find a word or a piece of text. We don't necessarily care about the file names, but we care about the actual word that we're searching for. So let's go back to our to the tweenable file. There we go. Just use FCF to get to it really quickly. And let's say that we want to change, or we want to search for everything that uses, say, this variable here. So we're exporting it. We want to see what's using it. So I can actually use leader shift A. I've got bound, and it'll actually use, so control SF is a front end for a command line tool called ACK. ACK is a grep-like thing. You can also use Silver Searcher or whatever command line search tool that you like. I use ACK because it's super quick, and I like it a lot. In any case, it found stuff instantly. You saw how quickly it went. Let's do that again, actually. So I want to find everything, all the instances of this tween props variable in the entire project. So I just go leader shift A, and there's everything. It took less than a second. It's super quick. There's not that many, but even on longer projects, it goes super quickly. So I can easily just hit enter to get to where it is in the different files. Here it is in a different file. So that's how you find stuff really quickly. Now let's say that you wanted to change this variable name. Let's say that we wanted to change it from tween props to tween hamburger, because why not? I've got a little key binding that basically I do leader S, and it copies the word that's under the cursor and it puts it into the search and replace syntax here, and I can just delete it and just type in whatever I want to replace it with, and I hit enter. So now we can see it's in this buffer, but it's not actually saved. It's just modified in this transient buffer. But what I can do is I can just hit :W, um, and it actually saves to all those files. So what we can do real quick is I'm gonna cheat a little bit and show you a tool that I'm gonna show you in a later video called TIG, which is great. But we can see that now all of our instances of tween props have been changed into hamburger. We want to undo that, so I'll just hit U, which is undo for Vim, :W again, save, and we can see that our state is clean, nothing's been modified. So that's how to find things visually, or fuzzy find things, whether it's a file or it's a word, especially if it's under the cursor, and how you can do a really easy find and replace across your entire project. So that's how to find things with Vim.